Funerals actually take a lot more planning than I expected. With us using island cuisine for the first time, of course we were iffy, but once they came and showed us their service, their food, we tasted their food and everything, we definitely use them again because their service and food is just awesome.
I'll ride with the horses, I'll swim through the sea, I'll climb to the mountain tops, won't you come follow me? I'll take time to notice all that I see, and after I've come so far, you know where I'll be. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. But life is a vision, that's how it should be. The world is a canvas, and the choices are free. At the end of the journey, where all is complete, they'll all wonder where I've gone, but you know where I'll be. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. Our dreams last forever, for all that we know. The roads come together, and that's where we'll go.
The pompous
and elite
wish we go away.
because we are
real and direct.
no interest owns us.
And we have no interest but
The truth. Together we are exposing.
corruption.
Together we will reform criminal justice
Together,
We are fighting violence
against women and children.
We here at
Candid
will shine the light.
on every corner of darkness.
Together, we are giving a voice
to the voiceless.
and forgotten.
Together.
Together,
Together.
together, together,
We are giving a voice to the voiceless and forgotten.
We are Candid News Group. Day. I'm Johnny Rosario.
And I'm Troy Torres.
We are Candid News. It is Sunday, July 5th. It's so beautiful and hot outside.
I didn't get to go to the beach this weekend, though. When I saw it I went to breakfast. I had a birthday breakfast that Carlos and Leah Beth took me to. It was at Tassi Grill at the Dusit. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful there. It's right on the beach.
Did Carlos pay for everything?
No, Leah Beth did.
Oh.
Yeah, Leah Beth paid for everything. Carlos is cheap.
He should have paid for everything.
Yeah, that Carlos. No, he's a very generous person, actually. But I was thinking I need to go to the beach, but then I thought, like, if I go to the beach in the current condition I'm in, someone's going to call the EPA, Fish and Wildlife, and Department of Agriculture on me. Okay, I'm just kidding. But if Joanne Brown went to the beach, they definitely call you. What is the oatmeal cookie still here?
Yeah, I ate half.
Oh, okay.
I ate half of it. And I'm sorry, but I love these drinks, but I get it for the ice, okay? Water ice.
Not to be mistaken with watered ice. Right. Just, so you know.
Hey,
So,
you know what else? Stand by.
How was your birthday, Cello?
oh, good. 40 just feels like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got some boom boom in my truck, thanks to Josh.
Mm-hmm.
I got sounds in my truck now. I was jamming some Jay-Z. Yeah, I can't jam it right now because, when we leave here, I'm going to church. So, the only thing I can play is, it's the song of St. Francis on the short way to church. And I don't know if the priest will appreciate the boom boom on that, but no, were we saying stand by what?
I was going to say, you know what else that you were able to get when you got the cookies?
What? Oh, yeah, I got you some pugwet.
Sulang ole!
Let's start off because there isn't much time until I have to go to mass. So
Shoot.
yeah. So there's some tension in near Taiwan. According to the New York Times 3 hours ago, the USS Ronald Reagan and Nimitz aircraft carriers sailed into the South China Sea in what Navy officials described as a freedom of navigation operation, while China's military conducts exercises nearby. So I was reading what happened. What happened yesterday was a Chinese fighter jet entered Taiwanese ADIZ. It's some zone, and Taiwanese fighter jets had to chase after the Chinese fighter. There's something going on, and the American military is somehow involved in whatever response this is. This was just 3 hours ago. So the New York Times says the carriers were deployed in support of a free and open Indo-Pacific. According to a statement by the Navy's 7th Fleet, it said that I think we're part of the 7th Fleet, right? The ships that are here are part of the 7th Fleet. It said that the ships, which were accompanied by warships and aircraft, were conducting exercises to improve air defense and long-range missile strikes in a, quote, rapidly evolving area of operations. And then in a story out of the Nikkei Asian Review today, thousands of U.S. troops will shift to Asia Pacific to guard against China. German contingent to redeploy to Guam, Hawaii, Alaska, Japan, and Australia, facing what a Trump administration official, this is what the story says, recently called the most significant geopolitical challenge since the end of the Cold War. In the Indo-Pacific theater, the U.S. military will embark on a realignment of its global posture. Several thousand of the troops currently posted in Germany are expected to redeploy to American bases in Guam, Hawaii, Alaska, Japan, and Australia. Yeah. Priorities have changed. During the Cold War, American defense strategists, the story goes on. You'll see this in Nikkei Asian Review. You can find it online. The story is called Thousands of U.S. Troops Will Shift to Asia Pacific to Guard Against China, or as the president calls it,
China.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Not to be mistaken with another topic that remains.
That looks like, sometimes it looks like a peach, sometimes it looks like
a Stanburn. Yeah. So onto a more serious topic. The title of this show is "There Are Serial Rapists in Our Midst," and the question comes for all of us to debate and for the justice system to hopefully dispose of in a fair and just way. And that is the question of the accusations against Frank St. Nicholas by now several women. Kandit first brought you this story in late May when one woman came to us and said that Frank St. Nicholas had raped her at Tengisin Beach. We filed the story, and within, I believe on that same day, another woman filed a story, and a couple of days before we filed our story, there was another woman who filed a story. Then there was a fourth woman who came forward. So 4 who have come forward with criminal complaints against Frank St. Nicholas, all alleging basically the same crime, all saying that, you know...
he has an MO.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Frank St. Nicholas is a spiritual traditional healer called
So
a
he
Suruhanu.
says.
Yes, and many people have attested to his healing powers. They put it on the comments that they or their family members have been healed by him. And I was talking to Johnny about this. I think if Mr. St. Nicholas did these things to women, you know, perhaps those who have been healed by him might be able to understand that just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean that it didn't happen to someone else. It just means that you weren't the victim.
Right.
You weren't part of his. And
You have to keep up the facade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If we're talking, I'm going to kill Jacob Nakamura. If we're talking about a serial rapist, you know, these are people who are charming. They have their MO. They have the type of the profile of the victim that they have.
They check it out.
Yeah, and it's a scary situation because Mr. St. Nicholas is a seaport police officer. And at least one of the accusations against him, the woman said that he used the color of his authority as a police officer in order to instill fear into her prior to the rape and then after the rape, the alleged rape as well. He was arrested after.
Finally, after we blew it up, he was finally arrested.
And then he was released. He's on pretrial release, or he's on release pending trial, or whatever it's called. So during this time period, so this was around the early June time period. June 3rd was the date that he was arrested. He was released from prison a little bit later on June 8th. After another woman, and we're going to call her Jennifer, and in the story that we published, we call her Jennifer just today. A woman named Jennifer called the Guam Police Department to make a complaint against Frank St. Nicholas, alleging that in June of 2016, Frank St. Nicholas forcibly raped her. And at the time, she felt a little safer making the report, understanding that her name at some point would become public because she's making these accusations, because she was under the understanding that Mr. St. Nicholas was in jail. And so she thought that, you know, if he didn't have the wherewithal, if he was in jail and didn't have the wherewithal to harm her while he was in jail, then she would be fine, because she alleges that after the rape occurred at Tengisin Beach in June of 2016, Frank St. Nicholas threatened that if she said anything, he would harm her and her family.
Right.
And so for the past 4 years, this Jennifer has been deathly afraid of him. She has suffered this trauma on her own, and she has kept this story to herself and has not told many people, if many at all, before she approached the police department. Where this story concerns us and the public is that Jennifer did report this to the Guam Police Department, and a police officer told her that there was nothing that they could do, that they could not take her report because the statute of limitations had passed. And when I first talked to Jennifer today about it, it didn't occur to me that the statute actually hadn't passed. I just thought, okay, I need to take a look at it. But I understood that the official misconduct statute had not passed. You know, even if the CSC statute of limitations had passed, the official misconduct statute had not passed, because Frank St. Nicholas is
still
a
employed
government of Guam employee. At the time that the crime allegedly occurred, he was a port police officer, and he continues to be. He's under administrative investigation by the Seaport Authority of Guam, according to Seaport Manager Rory Respicio. Whenever I say Seaport, I always think of SeaWorld, and then when I think of SeaWorld, I think of Joanne Brown, and then I get fat. You know, like it's like a cause and effect thing. Anyway, this story is not a laughing matter. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So we looked it up. We spent our Sunday looking up the statute on the criminal sexual conduct statute. It's Title 25. I'm sorry. It's Title 9, Chapter 25 of Guam Code Annotated. And the first thing you want to take a look at is the definitions. You know what everything means in this CSC statute. Under 25.10, it says force or coercion includes but is not limited to any of the following circumstances. And as it applies to Jennifer, when you go down a little further, it says when the actor, through concealment or by the element of surprise, is able to overcome the victim. Let me explain that for a second. Part of what Jennifer told us was that Frank St. Nicholas was able to lure her to Tengisan Beach, and under the guise of performing a spiritual and healing ceremony, allegedly began to spread what she thought to be a tonic on her upper body and on her face. And then everything started to go white, and she felt like she was in a trance. And the next thing she realized was her waking up to Frank St. Nicholas on top of her and already penetrating her, having sex with her. So he was forcibly raping her. That's why I highlighted that when the actor, through concealment or by the element of surprise, is able to overcome the victim. And then further down in the definitions, it says, if the, under one of the circumstances, mentally incapacitated means that a person is rendered temporarily incapable of appraising or controlling his or her conduct due to the influence of a narcotic, anesthetic, or other substance. Can you go to the next one, Cello? It's the next one. Yeah, there you go. Due to the influence of a narcotic, anesthetic, or other substance administered to that person without his or her consent, or due to any other act committed upon that person without his or her consent. Physically helpless means that a person is unconscious, asleep, or for any other reason is physically unable to communicate unwillingness to an act. You know what this really means. And this should concern a bunch of folks, especially those who like to go clubbing. You cannot take home a wasted, drunk person and have sex. You know, if it wasn't communicated prior to the getting wasted and drunk that the sex was wanted. This doesn't necessarily apply in the case of Jennifer and Frank St. Nicholas. I just wanted to point that out. Then if you go down further, sexual penetration means sexual intercourse, cunnilingus, fellatio, anal intercourse, or any other intrusion, however slight, of any part of a person's body or of any object into the genital or anal openings of another person's body, but emission of semen is not required. Those are the definitions that apply to this chapter 25, which is the criminal sexual conduct part of the Guam law. If you go over to the next section, it defines what first degree criminal sexual conduct is. It says a person is guilty, and how it applies to Jennifer's case is where we highlighted. A person is guilty of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree if he or she engages in sexual penetration with the victim, and if any of the following circumstances exists. If you go down a little, sexual penetration occurs under circumstances involving the commission of any other felony, such as, or for example, being drugged, right? The actor knows or has reason to know that the victim is mentally defective, mentally incapacitated, or physically helpless. The actor uses force or coercion to accomplish the sexual penetration. The actor uses personal injury or causes personal injury to the victim, and force or coercion is used to accomplish sexual penetration. And the actor causes personal injury to the victim, and the actor knows or has reason to know that the victim is mentally defective, mentally incapacitated, or physically helpless. So based on what Jennifer told me, these are the things that would apply. And so she is the victim, according to her story, of first degree criminal sexual conduct. So I didn't realize it, but there's no statute of limitations on that. According to Title 8, Chapter 10, this is the chapter that deals with the statutes of limitations for various crimes. There's the 31st Guam Legislature in Public Law 31-69, and this was signed into law on May 24, 2011 by Governor Eddie Cabo, made it so that if you are guilty of first or second degree CSC, the prosecution for that can be commenced at any time. Unless,
There's
of
no
course,
statute.
there's no statute of limitations on what Jennifer went through. And so how the Guam Police Department officer who talked to her was able to give her that kind of legal advice that turns out to not even be all that
He should
accurate.
even. It doesn't matter. Even if the statute of limitations has passed, he still has a duty to take the report.
That's yeah. And there's also this, I mean, let's not forget that there's also a official misconduct statute that applies because he's a government of Guam employee. So we've spoken with Jennifer, and we're trying to help her out to see what her options can be, because all this time she's felt helpless,
What
hopeless.
more?
She suffered through this
Juni
alone.
calling over here
Yeah,
and
yeah.
them not wanting to help her.
Jacob Nakamura says the last serial rapist we had on island, the police also ignored Paul Moffness Jr. That's correct. Jacob freaking pinned happy 50th birthday, Troy, to the comments. Jacob says, why does Guam police even have their DART unit or whatever it's called if they aren't taking these matters seriously? I was going to say something, but it might have identified Jennifer a little bit, so never mind that. Jacob says, Costa Nicholas alleged actions aren't classic serial predatory behavior. Guam police needs to put full force on this to find all the victims, not turn them away. Guam police has a pattern of ignoring victims of serial rape and ignoring patterns. Is it ignoring, Jacob, or are they
They're
just
just
not
lazy.
trained? Are they lacking training in this? Because, also, how did this police officer not understand the change in the statute of limitations law that happened on May 24, 2011? I mean, maybe it is a fairly recent, and maybe that's a cop that's been on the beat for quite a long time and just was never trained, but I don't know.
There's
I
no
don't know.
excuse.
I don't know.
There's no excuse.
Jacob asks, why aren't traditional healers regulated by the government? They administer tonics and other items. Actually, I thought that they were regulated by the Healing Arts Commission or something. Or maybe it was the Allied Health Board. We'll check into that. Matt Geiger says, oh man, this story is sad. And Matt, Jennifer's story is not the only story. It's just the latest story. Jennifer also said that according to one of the original 4 women, there's a total of 10 or 11 of them. And most of them just have not come forward because they are deathly because they've received threats and because they believe that threats exist against their lives and the lives of their families. Jacob asks, could it have been chloroform? So that's like, Jacob says the case of Costa Nicholas is classic predatory serial rapers. So Johnny and Eric were the ones who were Googling that earlier, because I was like, what is that thing where you put the tonic in the rag and you put it over the face? You see it in the movies, right? Like in Hannibal, and it knocks the person out. And you were the one who said chloroform. And then what did you come up with? Trichloroform methane or something?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's got to have a street name. Jacob says, I'm curious by her story. Sounds like he spread something that rendered her unable to move. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Sandra. Molly Ann says, makes our ancestors flip in their graves. Thank you, Sabrangel. Jacob says, this didn't just start. I bet there are many, many, many other victims out there scared to come forward or too traumatized. David Lebowski says, yeah, and the doctor or shrink at Mental Health was a healer of emotional issues also, until he got thrown off the island for inappropriate behavior. So healers or professionals can also be rapists. Power gets access to vulnerable people. So one of the things that we talked about when we first started the show was people who have commented about what a good person Frank Nicholas is because they helped him, he helped them through some healing. And like we were saying, just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it didn't happen to others. You just weren't the victim. And that's how the story goes for so many serial rapists out there. You were lucky enough not to be the victim. And maybe that person was the best person in the world to those who were not the victim. But what I'd like to say is hopefully the justice system, the criminal justice system, takes care of this issue. But as it has started out from the beginning, it just doesn't seem like. It really seems like there have to be people out there advocating for these women. It's, I don't know, what a miscarriage of justice.
I think it needs a whole overhaul. Those officers need to learn the law.
That is so weird.
It's that basic,
Officers
Troy.
of the law need to learn the law.
It's that basic. Now, I'm not sure if they record or if they log every phone call that comes in, but let's find who this officer is.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very good idea. We need to find out who. Guys, when you have an interaction with a police officer, it's very important that you get the police officer's name before you call Kandit News and be like, "This officer did it." It's
Except if you're Gene Egros, he uses other people's badges.
Oh, is he Dick Do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked me today, "Where's Officer Sang-To?" And I was like, that has been the most quiet Mandania corrupt cop out there. I don't know. Maybe he was just the smartest one of them, and was like, "I'm out."
Flew under
He's
the
out.
radar.
Yeah. And where's Chris Champion these days?
He's still driving by my house.
Oh my God, Chris, there's nothing there. Ronnie's house is boring. Believe me, my house is boring. Johnny's house is boring. Go crack down someone else's house without a warrant like you normally do. Oh my God, the cookie is so good and soft and it's like crunchy in the right areas. Son of a gun.
I almost ate all the
cuss right now. What is this called? The
Chocolate
76
chip?
ones. No. They're called something.
I don't know.
Soft batch.
No, they're not soft batch. It's like Otis Schneider or something cookies.
Otis something. Otis.
Spunkmeyer.
Otis Spunkmeyer.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
Nope.
But it tastes good. Anything else?
No.
For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Mazzario.
And that's
Good night.
Eric. That's Eric.
That's Eric.
Eric.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Good night.
He has his own camera.